Today in Review This Thing, we're going to review this thing, the Witt Machine SME. Before we do that though, help us out. It would be huge help to us if you can click that subscribe button and click that notification bell. Also, if you have experience with the SME, please comment below and let us know what you think and ask any questions. All that just helps us out big time with YouTube. Now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and review the Witt Machine SME. Witt Machine is actually a company straight out of Texas. They make muzzle brakes, they make suppressors, and then they also make this SME, which stands for sound mitigating equipment. So what does an SME do? Great question. It is not a suppressor, but it's meant to help change or decrease the amount of sound that comes from firing a weapon without that tax stamp and without the 6 to 9, give or take, month waiting period. I put this one on my CVA Cascade 308. Tons of videos on that gun if you want to click below and see those. And we've been shooting it for a while, so I wanted to give you my feedback and give you the review. As we always do, we're going to cover all the facts. The first is fit. So the SME is a kit that comes with a self-timing muzzle brake as well as this blast can piece. To put the muzzle brake on the gun, it comes with a self-crushing washer, and you just use, a wrench to get it in place so that it's self-timed with the holes coming out at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. The kit does come made for different calibers. This, of course, is a 30 cal because it's on my 308, and it also comes for different threading sizes. So you should be able to go on their website and find one that'll fit the gun that you're trying to use. And that crush washer helps with the fit, helps make sure it's on there well. I will say that we did have some trouble getting it to time perfectly. Probably user error, and we just didn't really know what we were doing, but we did have some difficulty with that. It doesn't sit exactly parallel to the ground, but again, probably our fault just not knowing how to do it. The blast can you take, and it just screws right over the top pretty easily of that muzzle brake. And once you get it on there, you just tighten it up, and now you're ready to go. Now you can shoot this just with the muzzle brake without having to put the blast can on it. And that's going to help with recoil just like every other muzzle brake out there. I have used a few other muzzle brakes that have a locking nut that makes it easier to get the self-timing perfectly. But with this device, if it had that locking nut, then you probably wouldn't be able to just screw that blast can over the top. So that's why that's probably not there. The total length of this device is 4 inches, so it doesn't add a ton of length. And total weight is only 7 ounces. So not going to add a ton of weight as you're trying to, go hiking, walk up mountains, or walk to your stand either. Overall, the fit was pretty good. You can see the blast can fits perfectly right on that muzzle brake. I am going to take off just a little bit because we did have difficulty getting that crush washer and the brake timed perfectly. So because of that, I'm going to give fit a 4.5 out of 5. Now, is the Witt Machine SME as advertised? The first thing they advertise is that it decreases the lateral auditory report whenever the gun is fired. Unfortunately, I don't have a sound meter that would work with higher decibels, such as the firing of a weapon. I would love to have the exact measurement and see how that changes, but I don't. So I'm going to just kind of tell you what we found. Our videos aren't going to do a great job of showing you the difference because the microphones and the cameras adjust the sound too. But the best way that I can describe it is when you fire a weapon without the blast can, it's almost like a deep, loud boom that kind of echoes. Whenever this blast can was on it, it almost sounded more like a loud snap, like a loud snap cap gun. So instead of being that kind of deep boom sound, it was much more of just like a loud crack. The way we tested it is we stood maybe 10, 15 yards back and fired it and without hearing protection so we could tell the difference. Now, I myself am too chicken to shoot it without hearing protection. I have super sensitive ears, so we did not do that. However, just being close to it, you can definitely tell a difference. It absolutely changes the way the sound is. The next thing the SME advertises is maximum recoil management. Now, one thing I'll say about that is since having a rifle with a threaded barrel, I've tried a few different muzzle brakes, and whenever you just have the muzzle brake on this, it does a fairly comparable job to some others that I've used in decreasing that recoil. So it makes a huge difference between nothing on the rifle versus having that muzzle brake on there. The thing that I found though was whenever I screwed the blast can back on, it tended to return some of that recoil back to firing. So if recoil management is your main goal, then I would just stick with the muzzle brake and not worry about the blast can. But if you're looking to get that sound mitigation, then that's definitely the device you want to use. I do still feel like it was probably less than without anything, but it's not near as much as just with the muzzle brake. Final thing they advertise is excellent shot-to-shot recovery. So when we sighted in the rifle, it did not have a brake or anything on it. When we put the brake on it, it changed the position slightly. Not so much that it was off the paper or anything, but enough that it needed to be reset. But that grouping was still accurate. Then we put the blast can on and it changed it again. Again, still able to keep it accurate within MOA, 1.5 give or take, within 100 yards. But it changed the position enough. And each time we did that, you may find something different, but it tended to pull it down and to the right 2 to 4 inches each direction. So just know that if you are going to hunt with this, with the blast can on, then you're probably going to want to sight it in and practice with that blast can on so you know you're going to hit the same spot every time. Overall, it does pretty much everything they claim. It definitely changes, mitigates that sound. It does decrease recoil, especially with just the brake, and then you are able to have accurate groups at least 100 yards. The one thing I would say is it does not still control recoil as much as I would like with the blast can on. So because of that, I'm going to give, as advertised, a 4.5 out of 5. Now on to construction and durability. So the brake itself is made from stainless steel, and then the blast can is crafted out of aircraft aluminum, which makes the whole kit, we talked about before, but very lightweight at about 7 ounces. The sizing of the opening in the blast can is actually quite nice because it makes it pretty easy to clean. And then with the openings on the side of the muzzle brake, that can be cleaned fairly easily too. And even though both pieces are lightweight, they also feel very durable. It does not feel like something that's going to get damaged by if you accidentally drop it or carrying it through the woods, things like that. Now, we have not had it for months, like I haven't taken it hiking through the woods, but we have carried it around, taken it to the range, sat it down, picked it back up, put it in the case, those sorts of things. And somehow we have managed not to even scratch it. So I'm pretty impressed with that. As we talked about in fit, in terms of the construction, that way that blast can just screws right on is super simple, super easy, and you can get it tightened up without too much effort. I know we talked about this in fit, but the only part of construction that I wish was different was the ability to have that like locking nut. But like I talked about before, that probably can't be there in order to have the blast can screw on. So you give up that one piece that helps with fit just a little bit to make this able to screw on well and to have that effect of the SME from that blast can. Overall, super happy with how this device operates, how it's built, the construction, and the durability. I'm going to take a tiny bit off because of not being able to get it leveled like we talked about before, but also I completely understand why that piece can't be there. So because of that, I'm going to rate construction and durability a 4.75 out of 5. Now on to testimonials and reviews. So these are made by Witt Machine, and that's the only place that I could find to purchase them. So the only reviews I could find are on their website. And on this particular device, there are only 2 reviews, and they are both 5 out of 5 stars. No complaints from either person that used it. They loved it. It did exactly what they wanted, so they had nothing negative to say. I do wish there actually were some negative reviews so I could tell you some things to look out for and some concerns, but we have to tell you what we find. So, testimonials and reviews, 5 out of 5. Alrighty, we're here for why you are here. Should you buy this thing? Broken record time. It always depends on what it is you're looking for. If you are looking for a way to just change the sound whenever you're firing your rifle so that it's not quite so boomy, for lack of a better description, then this is perfect. This is going to do exactly that. The retail price on this device for the brake and the blast can together is about $175, which lines up right in line with a lot of the prices of other muzzle brakes that we've seen out there on the market. And it's also significantly cheaper than most suppressors out there. And then you have that additional $200 some odd for the tax stamp. So you're going to be able to get this device and really mitigate the sound, change the sound for a lot less money, and without, again, waiting for that tax stamp to come through. Now, it's obviously not going to do the same thing as a suppressor, so it isn't going to decrease the sound quite as much as a suppressor will. But if you're just looking to change that sound enough to protect your hearing to a degree, then it's going to do just that. If you're looking for something that's going to significantly decrease your recoil, like we talked about before, the brake on its own will do that. The blast can is going to change that a little bit, so it's not going to do it quite to the point that I wanted it to do it. I do wish that it was a little easier to get it timed perfectly. But other than that, it's awesome and does what they say. So I'm going to take like a smidge off for that fit factor that we've already talked about. But overall, $175. Should you buy this thing? Let's say absolutely 4.9 out of 5. Thank you so much for checking out our video. If you have an SME, please comment below and let us know your thoughts. Or if you have any questions, ask those and we will answer them as best we can. While you're here, watch a few more videos and subscribe to the channel. And follow us on Instagram and on Facebook.